for every 100 shillings they make from their sales. Now, we are going to be diving into that conversation and a lot more. And to help us with that, we are joined by Alice Kemunto, Executive Director, Consumer Grassroots Association. Thank you so very much for making time to be here. This is our very first live of 2024, so you are our very first guest. Thank you so much for coming. Now, before we even get into the details of the meat of the matter, please give us more details of the work involved at the at the Consumer Grassroots Association.
In Swahili.
Go ahead.
My name is Alice Kemunto from Consumer Grassroots Association. Privileged to be the team leader in that organization. And we are the people that are with the real grassrooters. We are the people right at the grassroots, and we interact with consumers in our daily basis, in our daily businesses that they do. We interact with consumers even as they go about their daily lives. So whatever they go through, we get a first-hand information from consumers. And our job mainly is to ensure that consumer protection is upheld in Kenya, as in its Article 46 of the Constitution, and more especially on the line of food, because we are also promoting safe food production in Kenya. Article 43(1)(c) gives us the opportunity to own our food systems, to have food sovereignty, and it helps Kenyans to be able to define what they need to eat, how they need to eat it, and how it should be produced. So we are here as the voice of the people at the grassroots. That's what we do basically. We have other areas that we cover, but those are our main agendas, and that's why we exist as an organization.
Unadhani kwamba tumesikiza, umesoma kwa taarifa kwa magazeti na vile vile kupitia runinga kwamba serikali inatambulisha 5% tax. Je, kwako unadhani huu ndio wakati mwafaka? Ni mzuri kupitisha wakati huu?
Swali ngumu kidogo, kwa sababu ningependa tuketi na rais wangu hapa tuweze kuongea one on one, kwa sababu ni rais wangu, ni rais wa hustlers. Ningependa tuweze kumwelezea, kwa maana sisi kama shirika tunapata maoni ya wananchi every day. Hata wakati hii 5% tax ilikuwa announced, tuliweza kupata maoni ya wananchi, malalamishi kutoka kwao, wakusema kwamba sasa hii Kenya kweli ni kwetu ama ni kwa nani, maisha yamekuwa magumu the past year, na tunaendelea kuongezewa the load. And actually what came to my mind, nilikuwa najiuliza, kwa sababu rais wangu ni Mkristo, ningependa tu kumpeleka kwa Biblia. Kunao kijana anaitwa Absalom. Wakati alipata uongozi, alikuwa na advice kutoka kwa wazee, na pia advice kutoka kwa wale ambao ni wenzake vijana. Wakati alisikiza ya wazee, akaona kidogo hawa siwezi fuata, kwa sababu najua ma age mates ndio wanaelewa vile maisha inaendelea, yani vile wenzetu sikisi anasema ni rieng, Kwa hivyo akafuata ile advice ambao wenzake ambao ni rika yake walimwambia, na haikuwa vyema, haikuenda vyema na wananchi wa Israeli. Kwa hivyo ningependa tu kumuhimiza aende pale na aweze kusoma hiyo Biblia, maana anasema yeye ni Mkristo, aweze kusoma hiyo Biblia. Ni kwa sababu kama rais anafaa kufanya maisha ya Wakenya yawe afueni, lakini sio kuongezea mzigo juu ya ile mzigo Wakenya wako nao sasa.
Right. Now, we understand the importance of tax to a nation, but at the same time, if we are to really put the issues of farmers on the table, there's so much that they're going through in the market. Some of them are not even able to access the market. They're facing competition from goods in neighboring countries. Prices are fluctuating. There's already a lot of trouble that our farmers are facing, and I'm very sure you've interacted with a lot of them in your space and line of duty. With us introducing and talking about this tax, do you feel like we have given consideration to what is really important to the farmers? And if we are to go that direction of taxing them, what else do you think the government needs to give priority to, so that we make sure that the welfare of our farmers is taken care of?
Actually, in your question, you've already responded to the question already, because the problems that we have or we are facing as Kenyans right now, and our priorities are not supposed to be where the government is trying to put their priorities in. Because overall, if you go around Kenya, you realize that Kenyans have so many problems that needs to be solved, and things have to happen. Mitigation right at the county levels. We need mitigation right at the county levels before even they speak of any tax. Actually, we have been articulating for tax to be reduced. It's only that my dear president, or our dear president, and the advisors around him are not really very keen on what is happening with or affecting the consumers and also the farmers. I may not be really the right person to talk on behalf of farmers, but at the end of the day, whatever cost that is passed to farmers, it comes back to the consumer. So the consumer is footing all the bills for the farm input, bills for transportation, bills for, the market levies, and now the bills for tax. Everything will come back to the consumer. So this is not really the right thing to do, considering that in every campaign period, we usually have manifestos and promises that we give to consumers, we give to citizens. And one of them is to make the life a bit bearable, yeah? So as when you asked about what solutions and what we should do first, is to ensure that whatever we are doing, we make sure that we are able to give a platform, an environment where Kenyans can be able to feed themselves, one, in dignity, with dignity that is. Number two, we can also be able to make even some income, because there's no job in Kenya actually that can feed each and every person. So, like now the young people, if you're telling them about 5% tax and you're encouraging them again to go into farming, that is double speak. We are speaking from both sides of our mouth. So it's important, first of all, to ensure that the environment is conducive for farming before you start even taxing. And we cannot start comparing ourselves with the rest of the other countries, because we are way, way below what other countries are going through. And talking about the other aspects, yeah, just recently, the president also lifted the ban on GMOs, meaning that most of the food that will be coming from out there may be genetically modified foods. And if now you compare the farmers out there and our farmers in Eldoret, you are putting them together in the same basket. What does that mean? They cannot be able to compete with any farmer from anywhere. However much, it's not that we are encouraging genetically modified foods, but we are telling the government, can you make environment for doing this farming conducive for all before you start talking about anything. If you cannot be able to feed yourself as a country, then how can you purport to be taxing somebody who's not even able to feed himself?
Kuna katika mazungumzo yako kuna mambo mawili yamejitokeza kuhusiana na food security. Tutawahi maliza hiyo kutokea kwamba kuna kosekana vyakula. La pili ni kwamba umezungumzia motisha kwa wakulima. Tukiongeza tax ya 5%, tutapatia motisha wale ambao wanachipuka kuingia katika soko la ukulima?
Kusema kweli ni kwamba kama tutaweka tax kama serikali itaenda ahead, ambao hofu kwanza, kabla hata nijibu swali lako, hofu ambalo wananchi wako nalo ni ile ya kwamba hata kama wakikataa vile, kwa maana tumeona chenye kilifanyika na finance tax yenye tulikuwa tumeka finance bill. Kila ambacho kilifanyika wakati huo, wananchi kidogo wana hofu ya kwamba hata kama wakikataa, bado serikali itaenda ahead na iweze kuimplement. Kwa hivyo tukisema ya kwamba mambo ya tax tuweze kuweka kwa wakulima ambao kwa sasa hivi wako overburdened na farm input, kwa sababu akinunua farm input kuna tax hapo ndani yake. Akienda kununua mafuta, and by the way, I was just discussing with my colleague from another country, and they told me that in their country, ile mafuta ambao wanatumia kwa tingatinga ya kufanya farming, imewekwa, it's a different color and is subsidized. Kwa sababu wanakuwa encouraged ili waweze kuproduce more for the country. What will this translate to us? Somehow tuna produce ama tunalima vyakula ili tuweze kupata, kwa sababu wakati wa rais wetu ambaye ni hayati Moi, wakati wake alituambia kwamba kilimo ni uti wa mgongo wa uchumi wa nchi yetu. Inamaanisha kwamba kando na kupata chakula ya kula, pale pale utaweza pata school fees ya mtoto, pale pale utaweza pata mapato yako wewe kama mkulima. Na tukiongezea hii tax juu yake, inamaanisha kwamba ule uti wa mgongo wa uchumi wa nchi ya Kenya itakuwa kidogo imeanza kuumwa. Na tukisema tuweke pia 5% tax, hiyo inamaanisha kwamba kidogo ile ambayo ningekuwa nimeproduce nipeleke sokoni sitapeleka. Inamaanisha nini? Hakutakuwa na enough supply of food. Inamaanisha nini basi? At the end of it, consumers will be suffering because there will be no enough food in the market.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to be continuing this conversation after the break. We had asked you to give us some of your views. Allow me to read one from Bernard Mutai, who says we are paying 16% on inputs, buying expensive fuel for farm operations, and they're still coming for us. We also have another one from Wigai, who is saying us in the small-scale farming are finished. Going for the agricultural sector is a bad move. The last one here we have from John Mwangi, who asks, have they talked about the cost of production? A lot of feedback coming in. Please feel free to talk to us across all our social media platforms. On Instagram at Kenya's Gold. Our SMS line is 22422, and our email is kenyasgold@royalmedia.co.ke. We do have a lot coming up, including AgriNation. See you after this short break.